Hi, I'm Jim Critchlow. I'm the professor of record for exegesis of the Hebrew prophets at Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, Boston, in the spring here of 2016. This assignment is for your first preparation of exegetical task of Jeremiah 22 and 24. To accomplish this, you're going to need to refer to the syllabus which has been posted for prophetical books. Secondly, you'll need the book, Looking Back for Jehoiachin, Yahweh's Cast Out Signet. Now, I've tabbed this book. This particular homework assignment, or the video, is about 10 minutes. You will receive in class, if you haven't already got it, the errata for Looking Back for Jehoiachin. You'll need to post these changes so that you have the most complete correct copy. Turning to the book, what I'm going to try and do in this short video is explain the who, why, what, and how of Jehoiachin, and then go through the passages that we're going to look at in class over this semester, and then answer why I wrote the book. The who begins on Roman numeral page 9. Who was this king that we're investigating? Now, I've called him Jehoiachin because most of the passages refer to him in that way. Jehoiachin in the Hebrew, but he also is known by two other names, Konyahu, Koniah, or Yekoniah, and that is Jeconiah. So you need to understand this particular king has three names. Now, why would I bother doing this particular book? Looking at page Roman 10, Jehoiachin is the subject or object of narrative passages in 2 Kings, 1 and 2 Chronicles, and Esther. He's in prophecies in Jeremiah and Haggai, poetry in Ezekiel, Lamentations, Isaiah, and possibly Psalms, intertestamental writings in Esdras, additions to Esther, Baruch, the writings of Josephus, and the rabbinical tradition. He also features prominently in a genealogical record traced in Matthew, where he is the linking name between Abraham, David, and Jesus Christ. Surely it's significant that a king who only reigned 3 months would provoke so much comment throughout these different bodies of canonical literature. On page Roman 14, there is the dynastic succession of Jehoiachin. Look carefully at this chart. Make sure you understand who this guy Jehoiachin, Koniah, Jeconiah is and when he reigned. That answers the what of what we're looking at. Now, how did I do this dissertation? I broke the 6 chapters of the book into outlines. Chapter 1 investigates Jehoiachin in the narratives concerning these Davidic kings. We are going to study 2 Kings 24, 6 to 17. In chapter 2, we look at Jeremiah's prophecies, of which we're going to see Jeremiah 22 and Jeremiah 24. Chapter 23 is Jehoiachin in other prophetic and narrative literature. There we'll study Haggai 2. In chapter 4, we look at Jehoiachin in the poetry. That's where we'll study Ezekiel 17, 19, and Isaiah 52, 53. We're going to skip chapter 5 in this particular homework, and we're going to read chapter 6, the conclusions of the whole book. So let's turn first in chapter 1 to page number 4, the translation of 2 Kings 24, 6 to 17. The key of this is verse 8 and 9. Jehoiachin was 18 years old when he became king, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. Now, the Chronicles passage, which I investigate next, says he was 8 years old and he reigned 3 months, 10 days. I believe that 10 is a misplaced esrei, and so the correct pericope is the 2 Kings account. In verse 9, it says he did evil in the sight of the Lord. This is particularly important in the understanding of who who both the kings and Jeremiah portrayed him to be. Chapter 1 comes to close on pages 31 and 32. Read the conclusion carefully. Chapter 2 is the Jeremiah prophecies. We're going to turn over to pages 43 to 56 for Jeremiah 22 and 24, which is the next thing due in the class. The end of the chapter comes on page 73 and 74. Make sure you review that carefully. And then for the next class, we'll go on to Jeremiah and other prophetic literature, chapter 3. In that chapter, we're going to look carefully at Haggai 2 on pages 87 to 92. Read the chapter conclusion, 98 and 99, carefully. And then we'll begin the poetry on page 100. Ezekiel 17 and 19 are interesting poetic reflections on this guy, Jehoiachin Jeconiah. We'll also do in a further class Isaiah 52-53. Now, you'll need to carefully review my opinion of Professor Golder's comments. Professor Golder is a first-rate scholar, but I believe he goes beyond the available evidence when he talks about Jehoiachin being the suffering servant of Isaiah 52-53. Read pages 113 to 116 carefully, and then the conclusion on pages 119 and 120. Now we're going to skip chapter 5 because it goes beyond the intent of what we're going to do in this particular course. Read pages 149 through page 153, the conclusion of the book. This should help you understand who I believe Jehoiachin is. I think this is an important study because it's a gospel account in the Old Testament. This particular king, 18 years old when he comes to the throne, does evil in the eyes of the Lord. He does one thing that Jeremiah convinces him to do, that is to yatsah, to go out to Nebuchadnezzar. He spends 37 years in prison for his own sin, but he's redeemed at the end of his life by a gracious favor and invited to eat at the king's table. The change of his clothes represents the change of his legacy, and it's a testimony to God's work in his life. His grandson becomes the builder of the new temple.